This field almost killed my game. When I first built it, I was really happy with how it looked. It looked like a Wii field and it did its purpose. Then I pressed play. Instead of smoothly exploring my alien farm, I was greeted with a slideshow. And that's not very good. So we need to figure out why a simple Wii field is destroying the performance. The solution ended up being one optimization technique that completely changed how I built my environment. My game takes place on a farm where aliens have landed. One detail I really wanted to have was large fields of wheat with crop circles. At first, I built the field the obvious way, modeled a wheat plant, duplicated it hundreds of times, spread them across the field. Visually, it worked. Performance, not so much. Even though each wheat plant was fairly simple, there were so many of them that the game slowed to a crawl. The problem wasn't really the wheat itself, it was how the engine had to process every individual plant. Every object needs instructions telling the graphics card what to draw. Those instructions are called draw calls. Hundreds of wheat plants meant hundreds of nearly identical instructions every single frame. Instead of making the computer process every plant separately, I switched to instancing. Instancing lets the engine send one set of instructions and then reuse the same mesh over and over while only changing things like the position, rotation, or scale of each copy. Instead of hundreds of draw calls, I only needed one. That exact change gave me a huge performance improvement while making the field look exactly the same. Now that the rendering was efficient, I wanted to make the field actually look believable. So I built a procedural field generator using Godot's multi-mesh instance 3D nodes. Instead of manually placing plants, I simply tell it how many rows I want, how many plants I want in each row, and how far they should be spaced. The script then generates the field automatically. Of course, perfectly straight rows don't look very natural, so I added a stagger between the rows with random rotations and slight variations in scale. Those tiny changes made a huge difference in breaking up the repeating patterns. And what's cool is that this works with any object that you give it, so you can have a field of wheat, corn, or any other object that you want. The next problem was shaping the field. Real fields aren't perfect rectangles, and I needed open areas for paths and gameplay mechanics. So I added exclusion regions. These are just simple colliders that I can place wherever I don't want the crops to grow. I can regenerate the field, and those areas are automatically left empty. That let me build an entire farm using just a couple of field generators while still having complete control over the roads, pathways, and open spaces. But there's still one thing missing: crop circles. The original generator wasn't designed to make circular patterns very well, so I completely reworked the math. Instead of generating rows, it now generates concentric rings. As the rings get larger, the script automatically places more wheat around each one so the density stays consistent. Now I can generate crop circles of almost any size with just a few adjustments. At this point, I could generate fields in just a few clicks, but I wanted even more flexibility. So I went a little overboard. I ended up building my own vegetation painting plugin. Instead of relying entirely on the procedural generation, I can now paint grass and other plants directly into the scene wherever I want them. It makes creating overgrown areas and small details much faster while keeping the performance benefits of instancing. Could I have used an existing tool? Absolutely. There are plenty of great vegetation plugins already available, but building my own let me tailor it exactly to my workflow, and honestly, it ended up being one of the most enjoyable parts of the development of this project. And that is how I was able to create this field generator in order to make developing this farm environment way easier, and allows me to modify it later on without too much hassle. But this is just one small piece of a much bigger project. There are still aliens to create, gameplay systems to finish, and plenty more technical challenges to solve along the way. If you'd like to see how this game comes together, I've got a lot more to share. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.